She's an air race all-star. She's an unlimited aerobatic pilot. She's going to load this airplane up straight to about 7 Gs right there at show center. She is really pulling hard here. The lovely Emma McDonald.
I'm Emma McDonald and I'm an aerobatic display pilot at Matt Hall Racing. I also hold the position of head of aviation, where I get to do a lot of aerobatics, take people for joy flights, corporate IFR travel, and we help our sick kids reach their specialist appointments. My initial spark actually started in my mum's tummy. When my mum was pregnant with me, my dad took her up for an aerobatic display and actually did aerobatics with me in the tummy, so I was kind of shaken and stirred to be an aerobatic pilot. My dad, my nana, granddad, uncles, cousins, everyone were pilots. Air shows were like the biggest thing for me as a kid. The one I remember most vividly was the one I seen my dad perform at for the first time, which was at Narromine. For me, as a little kid, I thought it was the biggest, best show ever. So I was probably only 8 years old and I'm giving him hand signals on whether the aircraft's working correctly. So it was a pretty cool time for me. I was 26 when I started flying. I actually went to an air show just after I got my pilot's license, and that's where I seen Matt do his high energy aerobatic display. And I was standing there with my dad and I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do for a job. That's what I want to do for a career. But it was my dad who sort of said that, you know, that's great, but it's really hard to get into that because it's very niche, it's very expensive, and there's no real pathway. So it's not impossible, so that's where I went and spoke to Matt, and he gave me a list as long as my arm on how to get into something like that. There was a lot of work to be done, so making sure you have the right mindset, the right motivations, and you're doing it for the right reasons. I had to work really hard to get to this point. Then there's also the roadblocks then of getting into the air shows themselves. So you need to build the experience to get into the air shows, but how do you get the experience if you can't get into the air show? That is something that I found quite difficult, and also because I was female as well. It was actually Kevin at Pacific Airshow who gave me that opportunity to do my first solo display at an international air show, which I'm so grateful for. My very first solo flight is always going to be a special memory of mine, but then that always carries through when you start to get into new aeroplanes that you're flying. Like when I first flew this, the MXS, that was the biggest day of my life. I could not believe it. I flew this animal, and I call it the animal because that is what it is. I'm still taming it. But certainly that was one of my big career highlights. Flight planning for the shows begins a few weeks beforehand. So we have a set routine that we use all the time. We know what our aerobatic display box looks like, which is an area of where our display is going to be. We can't go outside the confines. There's height restrictions, all kinds of things with crowds. Visualization involves everything that you can think of that would be involved in the routine, from starting the aeroplane all the way through to shutting the aeroplane down and getting out. What are my radio calls? Where am I going to be entering the box? Then it turns into, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? How active and how aggressive is my routine? So if I want to stop on a pause, it's stopped. The safety gear that we have, flight suits, while they're good for show and that, they are there to stop us from getting burnt. So they're important for us as fire protection. We also have racing car shoes, and they come quite high up onto your shins, and that stops the shoe from coming off. We also have helmets and visors for if we have any bird strikes. We also wear parachutes as well. It's a standard legal thing that you do with every aeroplane before you fly, is a full pre-flight checking oils, making sure all your screws are done up, everything's there ready to go. I've got a couple of different aircraft that I use through shows and racing. So the one behind me here is the MXS. It's one Matt flies during his shows, and it's also the one I've been racing recently. This aircraft is capable up to 14 Gs, which is 14 times your body weight, and has a roll rate of 420 degrees a second. It will turn itself inside out quite aggressively. What's unique about our MX is we do have winglets, and that just helps it sustain speed while under G. It's also symmetrical wing, so what that means is this airplane can fly just as well upside down as it can upright. The Extra 300 is the other one that I fly. They're capable of 10 Gs. They also have a roll rate of 400 degrees a second, 350 Ks an hour, which is quite fast for a single engine fixed undercarriage aeroplane. Pacific Airshow Gold Coast and Pacific Airshow Huntington Beach were probably my top two greatest achievements in my career as an airshow pilot. It's not until you get back on the ground that people come up to you and go, oh my God, that was amazing. That's inspired me to go do what I want to do. And that's why I do these shows. Anyone who wants to achieve a dream and they have this massive dream but they're not sure how to get it, that's why I do what I do, because I'm out there showing that you can do it no matter what it is, as long as you put your mind to it. I was told through my whole career that I would either not be good enough or I couldn't do that because I was a girl. I was singled out on my very first day at my very first job as a diesel fitter, lined up in front of all our supervisors, and I was pointed at in front of everyone and said, you don't belong here. Girls aren't meant to be diesel fitters, you'll never be good enough. That was a very pivotal point for me. I could have either taken it and gone on my high horse and go, how dare he say those things? Or I could take it in my stride like I did and accept that that was his opinion and I was going to prove him wrong and show him what I could do. And that's exactly what I did. Went out there, went apprentice of the year. I ended up being a supervisor and working alongside him. And he actually ended up apologising to me. He's actually a really good friend of mine now. So it's funny how you can end up turning things around. And I really strongly advise people to do that. Don't ever let someone dim your light. You know what you're capable of, so go out there and achieve it. I really want to be a race pilot. I'm really hoping racing comes back as we used to know it. Last year was my first season as a race pilot and I ended up placing 5th and I was the first female there. I also want to progress in the airshow area. I want to travel internationally, go to America and showcase this to the rest of the world. What I love most about my career in aviation, not only do I get to experience things in a 3D format, being aerobatics, I love doing gymnastics, pole fitness, any way to get myself in all kinds of different positions. I love being in that 3D space, but most importantly, showcasing that to the younger generation is where my passion lies. I love to show what aviation is capable of and inspiring the next generation to get into aviation because it is such a fantastic career.